The New York Knicks have waived multiple players on their team in an effort to cut down on their roster. And also, they've made a few adjustments to the roster on top of that, which we'll break down. And lastly, there is news that a former New York Knicks lottery pick was just waived by his team, and his NBA career may be on the ropes. So welcome back to Knicks Digest, guys. My name is Chris, and we are going to jump right into this. First things first, there have been a few waivers. The Knicks have made some moves in order to cut down on their roster space since the preseason has ended. And these players are Mamadi Diakite, Brandon Goodwin, Isaiah Roby, and Dwayne Washington Jr. Now, before we get into anything, as you may have seen on early Sunday, October 22nd, which is when I'm filming this, Dwayne Washington Jr. just got a two-way contract from the New York Knicks. In order to do that, they had to take Dylan Windler off of a two-way contract. I cannot speak right now, guys. But they had to take Windler off of a two-way contract. They converted him to a regular standard NBA contract. He will be on the New York Knicks roster. And so that means that Dwayne Washington has gotten that final two-way roster spot. The other one going to Jacob Toppin, brother of Obi. And it's pretty interesting. But also, if we just take another look at this, Brandon Goodwin got waived, Mamadi Diakite got waived, and Isaiah Roby also got waived. The Isaiah Roby one is interesting because, as we saw, Isaiah Roby got waived a few days ago and then re-signed on an Exhibit 10 and then got waived again. Diakite and Goodwin were both also on Exhibit 10 contracts. That means they will all be playing for the Westchester Knicks this upcoming season, which is obviously the Knicks G League team. It kind of is interesting for Isaiah Roby, considering that he was on the roster, then off the roster, then on Exhibit 10, and then off the Exhibit 10. But I'll just say this now. Isaiah Roby knew he was going to get waived off that Exhibit 10. What the Knicks did is said that we want to keep you on the G League team. And the easiest way for us to do that and for you to get paid is for you to sign an Exhibit 10 contract. Because if a team signs you to an Exhibit 10 contract, that means that if you get cut from the team, you will play for that team's G League team, and Roby is important to the Knicks. He's probably going to be the first guy they would look to bring up from the G League and call up if they were to make some roster adjustments via trade or just waiving someone or whatever. He would be the guy because the Knicks are fairly thin at power forward. They have sort of the dual-wheeled backup going where it's just power forward by committee between Josh Hart and Jericho Sims, depending on rosters that they're playing against. Such as if they're playing a big team, they're going to play Jericho Sims. And if they're playing a bad team, a small team, I'm really losing it, guys. Oh my gosh. If they're playing a small team, then they're going to go with Josh Hart and run some small ball to counter. But really, they are going to keep Roby just in the loop, sort of. He'll probably get brought up at some point if the Knicks do make a trade, because he is a decent enough power forward. He spent some time in the NBA. He spent 4 seasons in the NBA between the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he did look good in his final preseason game. So if you're just a basketball sicko and you want to watch G League games, keep an eye out for Isaiah Roby. He may take that leading points per game guy away from Daquan Jeffries. However, it will be fun to watch. It'll definitely just be something to look at if you're ever really bored. There are no Knicks on. You want to see some Knicks basketball in some context. It'll be interesting to watch Isaiah Roby since he's definitely someone to look at for them to potentially bring up halfway through the season after the trade deadline if they are to make a move. And the Knicks, more often than not, have been making moves at the trade deadline under Leon Rose. So keep an eye out for Isaiah Roby. He's still going to be around. Next, Dwayne Washington got that two-way contract. Dylan Windler is now on the regular season roster. So, did Washington get waived? Yeah, but it's all right. He turned into a two-way deal. I don't know exactly how that works after you get waived, but it happened. Which is all I really know how to say on that. And now, for the second part of this video, we are going to talk about that Kevin Knox has been waived by the Portland Trail Blazers after the Trail Blazers have decided to pick up Ish Wainwright off of free agency waivers. Kevin Knox was the 9th overall pick in 2018. 2018 was 5 years ago. It's 2023 right now, and around 5 years and 3 months ago, Kevin Knox got drafted 9th overall by the New York Knicks. Some fans liked this pick at the time. I did not. I did not think Kevin Knox was going to be athletic enough for the NBA for what he was doing at Kentucky to carry over. His shot was never consistent enough, and I just did not like the pick. 17-year-old me threw my Knicks hat in fury. And then the Summer League happened. And then we all loved Kevin Knox because we were like, what is happening? This guy is literally like Kevin Durant or something. And then the regular season started and his consistency went down the drain. And also his efficiency was just rough. Like really, really, really inefficient in his rookie year. And part of that in Knox's defense was that David Fizdale was a horrific coach. He had no idea what he was doing. He's much better as an assistant where the vibe of him works. It didn't work as a head coach. And then also the Knicks were just a horrible roster. That was the year that they went into the season with Raymond Sessions as the starting point guard. And then pretty quickly Jarrett Jack took over as the starting point guard. That season was a mess. The Knicks won 17 games. They lost 65. The entire season was just surrounded by KD and Kyrie going to the Knicks. Are the Knicks going to land Zion Williamson? And none of that happened. The Knicks did get RJ Barrett, though, and that's pretty cool. I like RJ. But obviously, that was a season and a year full of disappointments. And it sort of started with the pick of Kevin Knox that just didn't work out. And it's a shame because Kevin Knox seems like a pretty good dude. But I think a lot of Knicks fans really wanted Mikal Bridges, who obviously has gone on to be a tremendous player and is now a tremendous player in the city of New York, but not playing for the Knicks, which kind of stings. Especially because that team also got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving that year. But it is what it is. They didn't do anything with it, and that is really funny. So it's okay. They had to trade Kevin Durant to get Mikal Bridges. So I guess we could still laugh at the Brooklyn Nets, that means, which is always nice. And the New York Knicks have way moved on from Kevin Knox. But if you are still upset about the Kevin Knox pick, remember this, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it does help out a little bit when you're just bothered by the fact that the Knicks drafted a bust, because the Knicks do draft consistent busts, it feels like. If you go down the Kevin Knox trade tree, you will see that Kevin Knox pick, and by that Kevin Knox pick I mean Kevin Knox, got traded for Cameron Reddish along with the first round pick. Him and that first round pick went to Atlanta. Knicks got Cameron Reddish. Cameron Reddish didn't work out in New York. Him and Tibbs didn't seem to really get along. His minutes didn't get consistent. He had his moments, like that 3 in the opening day against the Grizzlies last year. But outside of that, there was not many Cameron Reddish moments on New York, which was a bummer because it was a really exciting trade at the time. It made us all think we were going to get Zion once again, and that didn't happen. But who knows? There's always a chance. And then Cameron Reddish would get traded along with a first-round pick for Josh Hart. And Josh Hart has been absolutely menacing in New York. He's been completely just the guy who the Knicks needed, who's just going to give 125% all the time, who's good for the vibes, who's sort of that bulldog-like player. It's who the Knicks needed. They needed just that loud guy who's going to come in and mess things up and not be a dirty player, but get down and dirty in that way that, like, you're going to get some bruises, you're going to feel some lumps, and you don't care. You're going to do everything you can to win. The Knicks needed one of those whatever it takes guys, and they absolutely got it in Josh Hart, who has been awesome for the Knicks and who we are all hoping has a tremendous season this upcoming year. And that is all that we have to talk about for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and before you head out, just look at this graphic, because 80% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed. Let's get that number up, boys. Let's go. Because the NBA season is right around the corner. The video content is only going up from here. We've been on a multiple video a day grind. We're going to keep that grind going. We're going to get duos going for post games. We're going to get duos going for other stuff. We might get trios at one point. Me, Troy, and Darielle talked about it. We might all hop on together at one point. You don't want to miss that. That'll definitely be a great time. And guys, I just can't stress this enough. The channel is only going to go up from here. We are 27 subscribers away from 2K the last time that I checked. Let's get there. Tell your friends. Tell your friends' friends. Tell your girlfriend. Tell your boyfriend. Tell your mom. Tell your dad. Tell your grandma. Tell your grandpa. Tell anyone. Subscribe to Knicks Digest. If you like the New York Knicks, this is where you want to be. I promise. So make sure to do that. Subscribe to the channel. Show some love to your boys. It's only going up. I can't even stress how excited I am for this season and what we have in store. It's going to be crazy. We're going to do so much more than Knicks news. We're just going to get on and argue about sports sometimes. It's going to be great. You guys do not want to miss it. With that, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day, guys, whenever you're watching this. If you're watching this now on the day that it's going to be coming out, if you're going to be watching this in 20 years from now when I'm old and gray, or about 40, but, you know, same thing to me as a 20-year-old. But, guys, just remember, go Knicks!